Hey, what's up, folks? It's Jesse with Keeping It Real Finance, the channel that always has your back and tells it like it is. Well, today's video is coming to you by request for a review and 2022 price prediction of Flux. So if you haven't heard of Flux yet, this one centers all around nodes and Web3 infrastructure. Pretty neat project, and there's actually a lot more to it than that. So there's a bunch of different angles here where you could do pretty well with Flux, depending on what you want to do, what kind of investment you'd be looking at, etc. We'll be exploring all that in today's video. I'll be giving you a thorough background on what Flux is, how it works, you know, what the sales pitch is, the team behind it. We'll talk roadmap, all those things. And then we'll get into some Let's Talk token. We'll break down the Flux token. We'll take a look at the chart where we think this price prediction is at for 2022. And in the end, I'll wrap it up with some final thoughts and put a bow on it. All right? So that being said, if this is your first time to the channel and you enjoy the video today, make sure to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you click the bell, you'll be made aware whenever I post time-sensitive content just like this. And now, let's get it going. So what is Flux? Well, Flux essentially is decentralized cloud computing infrastructure for Web3. So think of something like Amazon web hosting, and then think of that being decentralized, okay? That's the easiest way to think about this. Now, there is a lot more here going on though, right? So what Flux offers is the following. So first of all, we have Flux nodes. So these are all the computers that make up the network that offer that decentralized infrastructure. So basically, a node is a computer from any user. That can be you, me, whoever, all across the planet. These are the nodes, right? Now, they also have Zelcore, the self-custody multi-asset wallet and app. So that is an app that you can get in your app store today. It is also a program that you can download to your desktop, okay? And then Flux blockchain offers obviously governance, economics, and interoperability with other chains. This is really important, including interoperability with Bitcoin, with Ethereum. We've got the Binance Smart Chain, Polkadot. We've got Cadena. We've got Solana. I think there was Tron. Quite a few others, right? Now, in terms of the decentralized apps or dApps running on Flux, there is a bunch of them on their website. I really just kind of wanted to highlight three of them that stood out to me. We got Polkadot nodes, we've got Cadena nodes, and we've even got Cadex, which is a DEX running on Cadena. And anybody who follows this channel knows that I am a proponent of the Cadena blockchain, right? So, what are some of the use cases for Flux OS? Well, we've got the following. So, hosting blockchain nodes. We've got decentralized apps, we've got oracles, we've got price rate servers where the Zelcore wallet pulls pricing data from, and we've got game and web servers, okay? Now, in terms of where Flux nodes are located, you know, I kind of hinted at this earlier, they're basically all over the planet as seen here in this image. So, you know, anybody with a computer that has the specs that meet their requirements can be a Flux node, okay? Now, something else here is that Flux offers something called parallel assets. So this is kind of an interesting idea. I don't think I've seen this one on another project. So essentially where Flux coins that are native to another blockchain is how this works. Now, let me explain this. So the idea here is through the Zelcore wallet. So this is the Flux wallet. Which you can either, as I mentioned, you can download it in your app store. It's available there even here in the US. You can also download it to your desktop. But you can swap Flux for native Flux on one of the bridged blockchains through their Fusion app that is within that Zelcore wallet, all right? So what this does basically is it opens up DeFi on that blockchain, all right? Now, the easiest way to explain it that Flux talks about on their website, and I think this is a really good analogy, is think of it as a citizen from one country that lives in another country, okay? So they can always return home and have the same benefits. So it's the same Flux, it's just on another blockchain. Interesting. Now, the Fusion app serves three purposes. So number one, as we just discussed, making swaps for parallel assets. Number two, distributing parallel assets through airdrops. So the way I read this on the website essentially is that whenever they essentially bridge on a new blockchain, they can do airdrops with it through that Zelcore wallet. And then we've got distributing rewards for Flux node operators. All right. Now, if you want to see the network, all you got to do is you can go to home.runonflux.io, and it looks like this image here. So highly recommend that you check that out if you're interested in Flux. Click around, click the buttons, explore. That's kind of what I've been doing over the last couple of days looking at this one. Now, the XDAO, so this is a decentralized autonomous organization, is the governance organization for Flux, which can also be found on that same site at the bottom. And that looks like this, where you can see proposals that have either been passed or rejected. All right. Now, in terms of the team here for who are the founders and kind of who's running Flux, well, first of all, we've got Parker Honeyman. He is the co-founder and COO. We've got Tadeusz Komenta. He is the co-founder and CTO. We've got Daniel Keller, co-founder and CSO. And then lastly, we have Timothy Tully Jr. He is the current CEO. All right. Now, for a little roadmap here for 2022, for quarter one, we have the following. So the big items are parallel asset reviews for Avalanche, Polygon, Cosmos, and Cardano. Obviously, NFTs on Flux, that'd be a big deal. And then Flux OS UI 3.0. So that was a new thing, the Flux OS 3.0, right? Quarter two has Flux Fork Phase 3. We've got the testing proof of useful work and also a hackathon. And then quarter 3 and 4, we've got the new Flux chain and deployment of UPOW algo, okay? Now, for anybody who wants to mine Flux, so this is another thing that you can do here, is you can mine Flux. They posted a couple of really good YouTube videos on this that are found on their website at runonflux.io/mining. Neither one of these videos are by Flux themselves. It's just by people like me that posted a video. And I was looking at one of them where he was doing it with Coin Metro. Pretty interesting, right? So highly recommend those. Super short. Kind of gives you an insight on how you yourself could mine Flux if you wanted to from your house. Okay, so that was really cool. Now, if you want to set up a node, they have a Medium article titled Flux Light Node Setup as Easy as It Gets, right? So the requirements, specs for setting up a node by tier are the following as of March 12, 2022. And if you're wondering how the rewards are then distributed per block, they look like this. So the miner receives 50%. Cumulus node receives 5.625 Flux. Nimbus node receives 9.375 Flux. And Stratus node receives 22.5 Flux. Now, all those requirements are as of March 12th of 2022, okay? So let's talk token. So Flux is the native token, obviously. As of today, March 16th, 2022, Flux was ranked number 147 in the top 500 with a market cap of right around 321 million. 52% of the tokens, or almost 220 million out of 440 million, are in supply. Total hodler wallets, 1,186, and that number has basically been climbing every day. So that's a positive sign. And where you can find it, it obviously includes KuCoin, which I do have a referral link for in the video description, so by all means check that out. When you do, you help support the channel. Big thanks. It's also on Binance, it's on Gate, it's on a few different ones. That Coin Metro that I mentioned earlier, it's there as well. And the price as of this recording is $1.41. Now, if you want to stake Flux on Coin Metro, you can do it. And the terms here for staking Flux are, you would need 500 Flux. You can then stake with the times and the amount. At basically 1 month, you could stake it for 9% APR. 3 months, 10.5% APR. 6 months, 12% APR. And 1 year, 13.5% APR. So be aware though, and this is really important, that if you are to cancel your staking before your window is up, you will lose half, 50% of whatever you had earned in rewards. So be sure that if you are going to stake it here on CoinMetro, that you're good with that term of the window of how long you're staking. Okay? All right. Now, let's take a look at the chart. All right, so taking a look at the Flux chart today, I've got it pulled up right here on tradingview.com. Up top here, you can see I've added some trend lines for where this chart has been moving. First thing I want to talk about here is obviously look at this big jump that it had. That was roughly, towards the tail end of last year. And you can see here when you're looking at the volume, volume was really pretty minimal up until that point, and then it absolutely took off. Now, from that, it's tapered down a little bit, and that's sort of indicative of what's kind of been going on here in the chart. Currently, the EMAs are bearish right here with the 20 and the 50 day. That's a bearish cross right here that happened roughly about, January 24th. It looks like this one is just sort of flat a little bit right here for where it's at right now. Now, in terms of where these trend lines are, in regards to those, it is a lot closer to the bottom than it is to the top. And that's a good thing, if you were looking to possibly get into Flex. Now, that being said, if we follow these trend lines, if it stayed within this pattern throughout the end of the year, we'd be looking at somewhere between, let's say, $1.75, 80 or so, and roughly $4.50. So, from what it could do here in terms of a price prediction, if it stayed within this trend, definitely a 2 to 4x is more than possible. Typically what happens in crypto is things will spike and then they kind of come back down, right? And that's sort of what's happened here. It spiked and went down a little, it spiked again, then it sort of come back down. So could it spike again throughout the rest of the year? Absolutely, especially if the market ends up taking off, which by all accounts, I think that it probably will, hopefully second quarter. The big thing that I think could push everything bullish is if we get an end to that war in Ukraine. So that being said, that's what I see here. Now, in terms of the stock RSI, currently this looks like it is near the top and it's due for a downtrend. So I would expect this price to drop a little more from where it is today following that RSI downward. Looking at the market cipher, we do have a red dot, which would indicate that same downtrend of selling, as well as we have a red outflow here. That's a money outflow. So really what we want to see in this market cipher is a green money inflow. And we haven't had that since roughly between, let's say, September and the beginning of November of last year. So we've kind of had some money outflow ever since. So this one is due for a bottoming out. And, if you look at it right now, it's definitely the lowest it's been in terms of money outflow. So could it go a little bit lower from here, maybe touch this trend line at some point? Yeah, sure, it could, depending on what's happening with the rest of the global market. But from that point, I would expect a good rebound. The big thing to keep an eye on is these EMAs. And let me show you. Here we are zoomed in a little bit, and you can see the volume, a little bit better in this chart as well. I mean, look at this spike that we had back here in December. Massive, massive volume spike. Big time buy there. Had some other pretty good ones, and then since that time, it's really just been some downward volume in terms of these the red selling volume, right? So the bottom line here, keep an eye on these EMAs for those to go positive. When they do, I would fully expect the Flux chart to swing positive. And with that, definitely a 2 to 4x is more than possible. And if we get a good market turnaround, I think, which we've all been waiting for, it feels like it's been 5-6 months of just downward momentum. I think everybody's looking for some good news here. So if we could get that break through this top trend line, then who knows, right? Gloves come off. But overall, that's kind of what I see in the current chart here. All right. Now I'll be back in a couple of minutes to wrap up this video with some final thoughts. Here at the Keeping It Real Finance channel, we need your support. All of the content on this channel is entirely organic, meaning we did the video on a topic that we simply like, or we did it because of a request from one of you, our viewers. So that being said, if you enjoyed today's video and would like to support the channel, there are multiple ways you can do that to help us to continue to create and level up our content. Our affiliate links will be available in the video description to cover platforms we endorse and use ourselves. Support the channel today and earn sign-up bonuses along the way. We also have a merch shop available with links below the video or directly by visiting KIRfinance.myspreadshop.com, where we offer tons of great designs and product options. We've got everyone in the family covered. Help support us by picking up merch and sharing your photo on social media. We may even send you an NFT. Speaking of NFTs, at OpenSea.io we have our NFT series, The Liberty or Death Crossroads, available now. Pick one up today and enjoy special upcoming perks and exclusive content with our planned upcoming courses, Patreon, and Discord group. If you're a reader and simply looking to step up your game in personal finance, I also wrote a book in 2015 titled Driving Through Potholes: Financial Strategy and Life Lessons for Those Looking to Rediscover the American Dream. The book is available now at Amazon in Kindle and paperback. And lastly, if you'd simply like one-on-one consulting, feel free to reach out anytime at keepingitrealsince1982@gmail.com. We greatly appreciate your support today, and now let's get back to the video. All right, so for some final thoughts today on Flux and decentralized Web3 infrastructure. This is the way of the future. This is another one of these things that they're going to be looking back at us like 50, 100 years, 200 years from now and be like, God, they had all of it in one spot with Amazon web hosting. Everybody's going to look at that like, what were we doing, And then they're going to see basically when crypto came alive and the power sort of went back to the people and went decentralized. That's kind of the steady evolution of all this stuff, right? Now, what I really like here with Flux, first of all, the awesome market cap, 321 million. So they've definitely made some big time headway here, right? You can mine Flux, you can be a node for Flux, you can stake Flux. You can even buy a Flux shirt at the Flux store if you want, all right? So they give you lots of options here. You can go to their website. They've got super easy to follow YouTube videos for exactly how to do this. Looks like pretty much anybody can do it. Really what it comes down to is how much you're going to invest. So like with this video here at a price of $1.41, I was looking at it. And if you wanted to be a node, that first tier, you're looking at investment, around $1,400. The second one was an investment of like $27,000. And the third tier was like an investment of like, let's say 55,000 roughly, okay? So it really just depends on what your investment level looks like if indeed you wanna operate a node, okay? Now you could also go the mining route, or you could simply just go the staking route, buy it and stake it. The staking rewards are still pretty good, right? So even at the lowest one, I think that was 9% going up to nearly 14% if you staked it all year long. So still a solid reward here on Flux. The really good thing with projects like Flux in particular is because they are decentralized, they're very stable overall, right? It's also, the governance is decentralized. Everything is decentralized here. So there's not really one single entity that can take it down or cause risk anywhere, which is something I really like, especially as somebody who is, typically a long-term investor, hodler. This is one of those ones that you could just kind of put in and be on autopilot, really. Now, in terms of that chart for this year, obviously 2 to 4x is more than possible. If, this market finally comes back at some point, please God, come back market, right? Like I keep saying, if this whole war thing could end, the world could stop being disrupted, right? And then markets could come back. So hopefully that happens. No guarantees, but if the market comes back, then hopefully crypto comes back stronger than ever. Because every time I look at, whether it's the Flux chart or any of the others, I kind of feel like it's bubbling under the surface. Like things are like getting ready things are getting ready to blow. I feel like we're like a volcano with steam coming out of it, right? And we keep looking at it going, it's got to go one of these days. And then, the next day it doesn't go, or something else happens. It doesn't go. And we keep looking at it and going, well, there's a little more steam. I feel like it's coming, right? So that's kind of how I'm viewing the crypto market right now. So I am really targeting second quarter for a rebound. All the talks of cycles, I feel like, for the longest time we were looking at, well, did this cycle get stretched out? And over the last couple of days, I've kind of been thinking, or maybe the cycle shrunk, right? Maybe we're in the bear part of the cycle. I mean, we've been in like a down to sideways market. You could really argue for all of 2021 if you wanted to. Definitively, we've been in it for at least 5 months. So, at some point, things have to pop here. And when they do, projects like Flux will pop with it. Now, as I said, Flux is a solid decentralized project. That's what's the really big sales pitch here. It's decentralized, and there are just so many different avenues. Something else I didn't mention, that Zelcore wallet. There's really a lot that you can do with that wallet. And prior to this video, I have not been heavily into Flux. I've seen Flux all over CT for months, and I just, I've got so many other things going on, I just haven't got to it. So anyway, big thanks to the user that requested I do a review on Flux. So hopefully this meets those, goals that you were looking for there, and hopefully it does it some justice, okay? Because I definitely think it's a solid project. All right, so that being said, that's it for today's video on Flux. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. Don't forget that I'm also on Twitter at KIR Finance, where you can find me tweeting and retweeting on a regular basis. Check me out there. And lastly, for a friendly reminder, this is Jesse with Keeping It Real Finance, the channel that always has your back, tells it like it is, and I will see you on the next one. Later.